Hey, what it doing everybody? It's your boy Papa Stev here. Today I've got a little quickie review for SuperHot 2, Mind Control Delete. I appreciate the fact that they give you actual level menus and such, and it's nice to see these core series you see on the screen. There's the description underneath them. So yeah, there's the more hearts and the charge option where you can just warp towards an enemy and kill them. And there will most certainly be more than that, because I've only played 2 hours of the game. You can even use the charge to warp through bullets, which is pretty cool. But as you'll see, the more gives you 3 hearts, and hearts are basically the amount of times you can get hit before you die. And unlike the last game, if you die, you don't just restart the level, you start the entire level cluster, which means levels are now grouped together in clusters, and if you die on one of them, you start over again. So it gets really arcadey, which some people might enjoy, but I don't quite like. I think it's a nostalgia thing really, and being a zoomer myself, I wouldn't know what that means, so yeah, I kind of prefer the old game in that regard. Moving on, we have the level design, and the levels are pretty clustered with things. They're not really that open, and they're also kind of small. Which isn't the hugest of problems. My issue is really how repetitive they get when you played it for more than 2 hours, because it's the same levels you're playing. They claim that they're randomized, but to me it feels like the only randomized thing is which levels you play in the clusters, and those are definitely randomized, and if you die it's different levels. But again, it's only a palette of 7 to 10 levels. So they could expand on that if they have the time. In tandem with the levels getting smaller, it also feels like they've decreased the movement speed a bit, which certainly hurts a lot when you get clocked by a shotgun, or when you run into 3 machine gunners at once, who just mow you down, because you can't really move in time, or you don't really have anywhere to go because the levels are kind of cramped on occasion. Regarding the movement speed, I might be misremembering it a bit, because looking at footage of the old game, it appears that the general speed is just a bit higher than in the second game, but I could be wrong about that, so don't take my word for it. So yes, aside from the cramped nature of the game, and the occasional inability to escape machine gun fire and shotgun rain, my biggest gripe with the game probably has to be how the game spawns more enemies than it lets you kill. So as you'll be seeing here, there's actually an extra guy that I don't get to kill because the game just decides enough. Now this might have some lore implications, because basically you're just a psychopath coming back to kill more people, but to the player it feels kind of strange. The level ends prematurely, and also it's really dissatisfying. It feels like you're not allowed to finish the level. Whether it's intentional or not, I'm not actually sure. It could be the lore thing, which would also make sense, but man, I just want to play the game sometimes. A good comparison would be giving a child a bag of candy and taking it away after they eat half of it. And if there's one thing men children like gamers hate, it's being treated like a Maslov dog.
And now for something completely different.
It's a fucking rolling pin. Who are you, Fanny Craddock?
Moving on, there's a pretty cool touch-up they did on the enemy design. So now there are also enemies who can't drop their weapons. And there are also enemies who are partially hardened, so you have to shoot a specific part of the body to kill them. which can get a bit difficult when they're running around shooting at you with an assault rifle, which they can somehow do accurately. Yeah, I don't really understand it either. Next up, we have new mechanics. So firstly, there's a weapon I want to talk about, which is the Gauss gun. It shoots super fucking quickly, so it'll be halfway across the map as soon as you click the button, pretty much. Meaning it's also really dangerous to go up against. The drawback of it is that it loads really slowly compared to everything else. But it's really nice because you don't have to lead the enemies when you're shooting at them. And you can basically hit whatever you point at. I don't have footage of this, but it also doesn't care about whether or not an enemy is hardened. But that's very circumstantial, and I haven't had it happen to me once. So I wouldn't be expecting that going into the game. During the level clusters, you will also notice the new addition, which is similar to the core, but more expensive. These are the hacks. And this can basically be anything from having more hearts to having more powerful throws, penetrating bullets, or throwable objects turn into grenades that just spew out a rain of bullets in the opposite direction of what it's hitting into. So if you throw it into a wall, it'll bounce right off the wall. Now, I wouldn't recommend this using the charge core, because you have less health and the risk of injuring yourself with it is pretty large. So be aware of that. Also, there are other things like shuriken explosion if you get shot, and well, pretty much anything you can think of in a weird way. There's a lot of them, like 15 I think, and it expands during the game, just like the cores, except you get way more of these. Notice the piercing shots here. So yeah, thanks for listening to my TED Talk. I'll catch you next time, which will be for the Doom Eternal review. I finally started recording the audio, which totally didn't take more than long enough. But yeah, I've decided to take it in a different direction that I took the Lost in Vivo review. Because, I mean, there's more than plenty of reviews of Doom Eternal already, let's be real for a sec. But yeah, time will tell. So, that was all for now, and I'll see you later. Peace out.